Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Welcome to the show where we chat everything in the world of movie and TV news. This is Insider Chatter, brought to you by The Chatter After. I'm Mike, that's Nate, he knows movies, and we're here talking about some of the biggest stories of the week. Nate, first off, we got to keep doing this. Eastern Conference Finals are over, you're in the NBA Finals, you won Game 1.
Yes.
Game 2 has happened. By the time people are watching this, we don't know the outcome of that yet. So how are you feeling after one game?
I mean, I'm feeling pretty confident.
Yeah, Halliburton hit that game winner, dude, with like 0.3 left. I'm just like, Oh my gosh, he's him. Whether we like it or not, he's him.
Yeah.
Can't take it away. You see any fun movies this week or any fun shows?
Yeah, I actually haven't watched anything. I'm seeing Ballerina tonight, and I'm watching probably the new Predator later today. And
nice.
Okay, no, I did see Phoenician's Game, but that was Thursday.
Nice. Yeah, I started The Pit.
Yes.
So there's that. First episode, really good. I still got to get deeper into it. I only got one episode deep. I'm still watching Blue Box. That's a romance sports anime on Netflix. Really great show. And I finished The Rehearsal.
Hell yeah. What do you think?
Nathan Fielder needs to be stopped. How do we let him get away with all of this?
He does not need to be stopped. He is making the best television out there. It should be winning every single Emmy. It probably won't, but it should be.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's been keeping up who's listening to this, but the fact that he's also like, people are coming out like, hey, the entire like music show was a scam and we lost all this money going on trips for it. He's just like, I ain't telling you to do that. And that's just so funny.
I mean, him appearing on CNN, he made them put on his byline that he's a pilot, not anything to do with The Rehearsal. Incredible stuff.
He's a master troll, and I envy how good he is at it, if we're being quite honest. But we got a lot of news to get into. We've got a big one with Star Wars. You titled this section Star Wars Corner. It is a couple of different reports coming from The Hollywood Reporter. We have, after months of rumors that Kathleen Kennedy may be leaving her position at Lucasfilm at the end of the year, THR dropped a juicy tidbit in this lengthy like expose on Disney and Lucasfilm. Basically, Dave Filoni will likely step up to be head of Lucasfilm. That's basically what we're getting at, right?
Well, co-head, because Carrie Beck, who is the production head, she's also going to be leading it with him, which I think is a good thing. I think two heads are better than one most of the time. But yes, I don't know how to feel about this because, I mean, Kathleen Kennedy hasn't done the greatest job leading Lucasfilm. We have not had a Star Wars movie on the big screen since Rise of Skywalker, which was a total disaster. I think
we're going to be like 7 years between Star Wars theatrical releases now, right? Which is wild.
And then we're getting one in 2026, and then directly a year after, we're getting one in 2027. So I don't know if that's Kennedy's doing or if that's more Filoni and Carrie Beck kind of doing things behind the scenes. Because we've only been on TV, and the show started great. We had Mandalorian. We had Andor. And Andor Season 2 was great. But a lot of the other shows have been disappointing or just straight out bad. So, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of the good that Dave Filoni has done for Star Wars is also a lot of like mixed reception that he's done with Star Wars. So it's like, I don't know. That's why Carrie Beck is the X factor here. Like, yeah, you're right. Having that united vision can be really helpful. It's something that I've said about DC for the longest time, right? Of like the DCEU and the Snyderverse was at its best when it was Zack Snyder, Patty Jenkins, and Jeff Johns. And then we got Wonder Woman, right? And so it's like when it was Snyder alone or when it was Jenkins alone, allegedly, for Wonder Woman 84, it's like didn't really work that well. So having a collaborative team for Lucasfilm is helpful. I don't want them to regress. And what I mean by that is a lot of what they've been doing has been in like the Luke Skywalker era of the universe, where it's like we're right after Return of the Jedi, and we're doing Mandalorian stuff, and we're doing Ahsoka, and it's like we're doing Obi-Wan. It's like I want to move forward. I want to forge new ground in Star Wars, and that is something that they've been like averse to ever since the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like, even Andor, as good as it is, it's still just like, here's how they got the plans to do the thing in Rogue One, and it's like I know I don't know if I care. Show is great, but it's like we can't keep doing that.
I mean, they've been trying to do something that takes place after Rise of Skywalker, but all of them have been just not working out. I mean, I doubt the Daisy Ridley Rey movie is ever going to happen. Patty Jenkins, speaking of, she was going to do one, Rogue Squadron. That didn't happen. I think the Damon Lindelof one was that. I don't know if that was connected to the Rey movie or not. It was from the other director of Miss Marvel, but that was supposed to take place after. So.
Yeah, I'm unsure about that.
Too many projects.
Too many projects that never manifest.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It's like, and this has always been Star Wars' problem, I guess. What's the vision exactly? Because if we had a play, like if it's gonna be, we're gonna do another Rey trilogy, right? Mm-hmm. Let's just go in and do that. I'm cool with it. I like Rey, I like Poe, I like Finn. We can bring those characters back and kind of like not make up for the Rise of Skywalker, but like bring them back and give them a better send off. I don't mind that if we can rope them into it. But I don't know. This will be interesting, especially Lucasfilm as a whole. We always talk about the Star Wars of it all, but we had an Indiana Jones movie that just like flat out bombed too. So it's like, what do we do with that property? We just made like the video game, I think, did okay for Xbox, but there's other facets to this outside of Star Wars as well that also haven't been doing particularly well for Kathleen Kennedy. And that's just
like Willow, which was taken off of Disney Plus. They made a huge deal out of that. And then they just took it off. They had one that now is being made at another studio. It's based on a book, like The Children of Blood and Bone. I think it's at Paramount now. But they announced that at the Disney upfront at the end of 2020.
Yeah.
Nothing. That didn't happen either. And I think Lucasfilm is probably just going to fully be into Star Wars now. And I think the Filoni thing, it's a bit worrisome because he feels like somebody who likes bringing back the characters from his shows, which is the Marvel problem right now. You know, Marvel's trying to get out of that now because Thunderbolts, I think, did a pretty good job at keeping the audience up to date, but it did have the TV characters. But I think this is the reason why it's better that it's going to be two people, because maybe the production head, she can kind of pull Filoni back from just making a movie that no one can understand.
Yeah, that's one of my concerns with the movie Mandalorian and Grogu, because it's like, we like, obviously it makes sense. If you're going to go watch a movie called The Mandalorian, you probably should have seen The Mandalorian. But there's probably a bunch of people who are just like, oh, new Star Wars, and they haven't seen it. Like the amount of people for these Marvel movies that I've seen on like social media, like, wait, which shows did I need to watch to understand Thunderbolts or this and that? It's like, there's so many people who don't know who John Walker is. Or there's so many people who didn't know who Yelena was, you know, because Black Widow came out during the pandemic and they didn't watch Hawkeye. So they've never seen this character.
Yeah.
And it's like, we want to minimize that as much as possible. So Mandalorian is going to be really interesting because like that can either do really well or that can bomb. And I'm not sure which one it's going to be.
It's funny that you bring that up because I was initially going to argue. I'm like, well, Mandalorian is the one show that people watch. But then they tied in Book of Boba Fett into it. They made Mando's arc part of that show. And that show's terrible. Why would you watch it to keep up? And then season 3 was a giant letdown. I don't really know anybody who was particularly happy with it. And then I never finished Ahsoka. I've heard some people liked it. Some people were really disappointed. But considering Ahsoka is in the seasons 2 and 3 of Mando, wouldn't be surprised if that had some tie-in. So curious if they go the Thunderbolts route, because people know what the Mandalorian is. I think keeping Grogu in the title is a good idea because people love Baby Yoda. I'm still going to call him Baby Yoda. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're not correcting me.
It's way funnier. Crazy enough, we spent like 10 minutes talking about just the production side of things. We do have a movie that's in the works that we need to talk about. So I'm going to toss it to you because Mia Goth's in this one, and you're way more familiar with her filmography than I am. So what's going on with this next film?
So we heard a couple months ago that Ryan Gosling was going to be in this new movie called Star Wars Starfighter. And this is the one that's going to take place after Rise of Skywalker. I don't know if this is what became of Rogue Squadron. I feel like that would make sense, but it's Ryan Gosling and then Sean Levy, which don't know how to feel about that. He's better at directing Stranger Things than movies.
For the folks who aren't familiar with the production side of things, Sean Levy did Deadpool, Wolverine, and Free Guy, right? With Ryan Reynolds.
Yep. Yeah. And I like both of those movies fine, but I don't really want to see him doing Star Wars. But it's Ryan Gosling. And now we know that Mia Goth, who, if you're like me, you know her best from the X trilogy, X, Pearl, and Maxine, Ty West movies. She plays dual roles. She's great in those movies, especially the first two. Maxine, I was not a fan at all of. I thought it was very messy. But she is now in talks to play, or maybe she signed on to play the villain in Star Wars Starfighter. And this role was initially going to be played by, I think they were eyeing Mikey Madison, which would have been a big get. But she apparently stepped down over like payment issues. But, you know, I think she's a good casting. The plot of the movie sounds generic, and I don't like it's Gosling's playing a man who's tasked with protecting a young charge, is what they wrote. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. From evil pursuers, which sounds like Mandalorian. It sounds like Obi-Wan Kenobi. It sounds like all of these like lone wolf and cub stories again.
You meant not just Star Wars doing this multiple times. We just had The Last of Us do this. You know, we're gonna get God of War that's about to do this when that goes to Prime or whatever. When that comes out, it's like we've seen this a million times.
Yeah, but I think Mia Goth, she's great. I think she can play a pretty good like Sith Lord if that's what we're gonna get. I love Gosling. I am always going to be there for Gosling. It's a little weird that we're leaning because Star Wars has never been about casting a big movie star to front it.
Yeah.
They have like stars who have like more supporting roles or appear in one movie. Because Liam Neeson, Sam Jackson in the prequels. But I mean, Force Awakens, that was really Daisy Ridley's movie. She was in nothing before that. She became John Boyega and Oscar Isaac. They became stars because of that. Oscar Isaac was in a lot, but he was more of an indie guy. So having Gosling there is, I think, interesting. And I wonder if it's an act of like them trying to attract people who would see a movie for a movie star that people love, which I don't know how that's going to work out, but we'll see.
I think it's because the IP is a little damaged, right? You know, like for lack of a better term, people don't really care about Star Wars like they used to. So now they need that draw. It's the same thing with Marvel, right? Marvel used to just be able to like, oh, we're going to cast a no-name actor and then you're going to come because it's a Marvel movie, right? But now it's like, oh, maybe we should get Pedro Pascal to lead the Fantastic Four, right? Like maybe we should get this hot young actor from Stranger Things to be Johnny Storm because he's a rising star. They're no longer casting nobodies to fill out their movies over at the Marvel side of things too. So I think this could be Lucasfilm taking a page out of that book. And it's like, hey, to get people to see this movie that's an original story that's not connected to the Skywalkers or anything like that, right? Because that's the thing. we were just asking for, hey, we want to forge new ground. We don't want to see Darth Vader again, or we don't want Luke Skywalker to come back. By the way, another Star Wars tidbit: Mark Hamill says he's done. He ain't doing these no more. Good for him. He probably should have said no after Rise of Skywalker, but he popped up in like Mandalorian and Ahsoka anyway, so it's like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they want to make new movies, they probably do need to anchor it with talent that people know. So when the trailer says from the director of Deadpool and Wolverine and your favorite episode of Stranger Things starring Ryan Gosling, that's the sell, you know?
Yeah. I don't know how to feel about this until we get a trailer, because I love Ryan Gosling. I don't mind Sean Levy's movies. I just don't think he's a director who has a particular style. He's a studio director for me versus some of these other filmmakers that they've worked with. I mean, J.J. Abrams, say what you will, Rise of Skywalker is a disaster, but I mean, he does have a distinct style, a visual thing that he has in all of his movies. Rian Johnson, obviously a director of style. Gareth Edwards, yeah, I would say that as well. I mean, initially Lord Miller, but then they got Ron Howard. I thought that movie turned out fine.
I will say, and again, I'm going to say this in the nicest way possible. Star Wars fans have made this very hard because I feel bad for Kathleen Kennedy, and soon to be Dave Filoni and Carrie Beck, apparently, because it's like you need to balance making new stories, but also appeasing the nerds who want nothing but nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, we think all fandoms are bad. Star Wars are probably the worst of like, you have to stay within that pocket. Like you need to make sure Darth Vader shows back up once every couple years. Otherwise they're going to flip out, even though that character has been canonically dead for like 50 years.
Yeah.
And so this will be interesting to see. I'm with you though. Sean Levy is not like the most interesting filmmaker. The script doesn't sound that unique. But maybe Star Wars doesn't need to be like groundbreaking. Maybe it just needs to be a fun Star Wars movie, which is something I think we all can say we haven't had in at least a decade. And depending on how you feel about Last Jedi, even longer.
Yep.
That's it for Star Wars talk. We do need to stay in the Disney pocket of things, though, because we have to talk
Pascal pocket too.
Seriously, right? Fantastic Four. It's tracking big. Like, astronomically big. This is coming from Box Office Theory. We talked about them last week, and they reported Superman tracking. Superman was like on track to make 150 to like 170 million opening weekend. Fantastic Four tickets went on sale this week. Hopefully, you guys grabbed yours. They're on pace, according to Box Office Theory, to have a 125 to 136 million dollar opening. This is coming again off the heels of the Superman tracking. This would be one of the biggest openings for the MCU in a long time. It actually crashed like Fandango on a bunch of ticket sites when these tickets launched. And this would be on pace with movies like Thor Ragnarok, Iron Man 2, or Thor Love and Thunder, which opened to like 122, 128, and 144 million respectively. Why did we let Thor Love and Thunder open that big? What were we thinking as a society?
People like Ragnarok.
Yeah. We did like Ragnarok. It's a great movie. I stand by that. Ragnarok's a great movie. But
it is.
Is this about what you expected for Fantastic Four? Do you think it was going to be this big?
I kind of did. You brought it up in one of our Discord servers that you think that July could be the biggest month for movies ever. And I agree. We're going to get 3 movies that make over 100 million opening weekend. All 3. Not just this and Superman, but also Jurassic. I mean, there's no doubt about it. All 3 are going to open over 100. This movie, I thought, was always going to be a bigger deal than some of the last couple Marvel movies, because this movie feels. We talked about it, I think, every time we bring up both Superman and Fantastic Four. It feels flashier than Brave New World, or as much as I like Thunderbolts, it feels flashier than the marketing for that. It feels fresh and unique. And I mean, Pedro Pascal, he is a household name now. I know we both kind of feel he's kind of risking overexposure at this point? Because
I don't think so anymore. Because
really,
spoiler alert, he's done with The Last of Us.
that's true.
So like as it stands, this is like his only franchise going forward. You know,
Mando.
Well, yes and no. Is he going to take that helmet off in the movie? That's the thing. Like,
he has to. He has to. That would be wild if he didn't.
Because I guess it depends on how you view Mando. Because I view this as like the series finale. Do you think they're going to keep making more movies for Mandalorian and Grogu? Because that's the thing. Like, if Mando's the end and he's just Reed Richards, I think he's past oversaturation at that point.
That's true. I think we're just in for a Pedro summer. Last summer was the summer of Glen Powell, and this is the summer of Pedro, because we have this. We have this weekend, The Materialists, which, as much as I love Celine's song, movie doesn't look particularly good.
Not too and much he's in Johnson and Chris Evans.
I'm sorry. They don't really wow me. I'm kind of there just for Pedro and Celine. And then Eddington, the Ari Aster movie, which I think Materialists will make more money than Eddington, because everything I've heard about that movie, nobody wants to see a movie about COVID or politics. That's not what we want. But
no,
I like him, and I think people like him. They see him playing Mr. Fantastic. They're gonna want to see that. And again, it just looks fresh compared to a lot of the post-Endgame Marvel movies. Like,
I'm with you. I feel like Marvel's at that point where before Marvel could do no wrong, you know, in the public's eyes, they would see. This is why movies like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania made a crap ton of money. Like, to this day, that's one of like the highest grossing Marvel movies of like the last 6 years.
Ooh.
I know, but it's like that movie also burned everybody, and so now they know, you know what? If I don't know you, I'm not watching it. And that's why Thunderbolts made less money than like Black Adam, and that hurts my soul so much. I did the math while you were talking, by the way, Nate, because we didn't talk about Jurassic World Rebirth tracking. That movie's tracking for $116 to $135 million for its opening 5-day weekend, because it's opening 4th of July weekend. So between, this is just on the low end, between Jurassic World, Superman, Fantastic Four, their lowest like projections, it would be $391 million across all of their opening weekends combined for the month. That's on the low end. If they all overperform and reach their high end, it's going to be a lot of money. We'll put it that way. But the big news here for Fantastic Four, it's tracking extremely well. That's exciting. They got a trailer when the tickets dropped. Did you watch it? How'd you feel about it?
I did. It was quick. Didn't really learn anything new. I also wanted to correct myself on something last week, that Superman marketing was everywhere and I didn't see any cereal boxes for Fantastic Four. That all changed. I don't know if Marvel heard me or something, but now both of these movies are inescapable. And now I felt like an idiot because I'm like, oh wait, no, they're both like everywhere. And also Jurassic is.
Well, I think their marketing push is just like shifting into high gear. Once tickets went on sale, they're everywhere. You can't escape Fantastic Four. Merch is everywhere, posters, trailers, TV spots. Like, they're going all in. And I think we're just seeing the shift in Hollywood where I think they're realizing long-range marketing doesn't really matter. And I was saying this about Superman because people were like, where's the trailer? Why is it taking them so long? It's like, look, man, if you know the movie's coming out, that's all that matters. They don't need to tell you the movie's coming out 9 months in advance. Once you see that trailer at like the Super Bowl or whatever, like that 4-month window is what matters, because we've reached that point where it's like, and we see this with like video games and stuff where they market so far in advance. Like, I don't need to know a game is coming out 2 years from now.
Yeah.
That's not helping me. So like, tell me the game's coming out in 2 months and I'm there. And I think the same thing's happening with movies where like people knew a Fantastic Four movie was happening. Now Marvel's like, hey, you want to see this in like 40 days? And people are like, hell yeah, I want to see this in 40 days. And they pre-order their tickets.
An interesting question that just popped into my mind. Do you think the 60s setting kind of helps it? Because I look at people like, when I was talking about my mom seeing the Superman trailer and being semi-interested, even with Fantastic Four, she's like, that's kind of neat. It's in the 60s. Like, instead of just being a modern day Fantastic Four movie like the last two, like this has a different feel. or modern day, like the rest of the MCU. Do you think
Yeah.
that's kind of helping people be more interested?
Yes and no, because like I was telling you last week, my theaters have not responded well to the Fantastic Four trailers. And I think the 60s aesthetic is a little off-putting for some people, where they're just like, oh, I don't know if I like that. Whereas others are like, oh, that's unique, that's different. And so I think clearly the numbers are showing, by and large, most people are into it and they're digging it. And I think that goes back to Matt Shackman's direction, right? And his eye for that type of stuff. Just look at WandaVision, how popular that was.
Yep.
So I think for the most part it's helping, but I do see some people seeing that and like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. Why are they wearing sweaters?
I was gonna say Matt Shackman, even though he mainly only worked on television beforehand, he directed one movie and he did It's Always Sunny. But I feel like WandaVision kind of showed that he has a certain particular artistic flair to him when it comes to these Marvel things. Because like you said, WandaVision looked different. It looked visually interesting, I guess, whenever it was inside what was the town called in it?
Westview. But I also just like think about how great of a showcase that was. Every episode was a different era, and he was able to like honor each individual. That is like the greatest like portfolio, like mixtape any director could ever make. It's like, look, man, I can make it look like I Love Lucy. I can make it look like the Brady Bunch. I can make it look like standard Marvel Cinematic Universe nonsense if you need me to. That's what got him this job, and that's so awesome for him. I love that.
Yeah. I wonder if it would have been the same kind of movie with John Watts, because as you remember, in that infamous Disney 2020 Slate video, John Watts was announced to direct it. Do you think it would still be 60s and have this feel?
No, not at all. I love John Watts' work on the Spider-Man films, but everything we were saying earlier, bro, about Sean Levy, that's how I feel about John Watts as well, where it's like he comes in, he kind of does what they want him to do, and he does it well. That's not a bad thing, but it's like I want him to step out of the MCU for a couple movies and showcase his talent as a director. It's there. We know it's there. We've seen it before, but
I mean, he has stepped out since, Skeleton Crew, which was Star Wars Disney.
Yeah, that's a lateral move. You're still in the Disney machine.
I know. I just wanted to say it to talk with you.
But it's like the Russos, right? Where the Russos proved when they step out, it doesn't work. So they had to come back into the machine. And so, like sometimes you just need to do that. And that's okay. Like if the Russos just stay at Marvel and they keep making movies the quality of like Winter Soldier and Civil War, we're all happy. That's fine.
Yep.
But we also have to admit that they don't work well outside the system. So if it was John Watts, that's kind of how I feel to answer that question.
I will say I do kind of feel like an idiot because like the last weekend of April, I hadn't done it in so long, but my friend Will was doing it on his letterbox, and he was predicting the top 10 movies of the summer domestically.
Yeah.
And this is something that I didn't want to happen, and I actually don't think it's going to happen anymore, but I put Fantastic Four at above Superman.
Yeah.
But I had Lilo and Stitch at number 1, and I feel even more validated about it. Because that movie, but I think this movie's going to be a hit that Marvel needs. It'll be interesting to see how it legs out, just like Superman and just like Jurassic. Like, if all of these movies are just fine, I don't know how that's going to be. They can open huge, but it depends.
They're all tracking to have a massive opening. It depends. Like, and we were talking about this privately in the chat after Discord server. If you guys want us to open that up to the public, let us know. We can try that. I'm cool with that. But we were talking with our friend Trayvon and Cliff, and we were talking about the lack of family films and how those have kind of just died out. And it's like this year's kind of the renaissance of that, because we're getting How to Train Your Dragon. We have Lilo and Stitch. We had Minecraft, right?
We have Smurfs, Mike. We have Smurfs.
We're here for Rihanna. We stand the Smurfs. But Superman being a comic book movie that feels like it's for families, I think is what's going to give that movie legs. And Trayvon mentioned that Fantastic Four is very much a family as well, so maybe that'll help. I just don't know if the movie's been marketed that way. We'll have to see what happens when it comes out, I guess, because like this is the first time, spoilers, I guess, for the trailer that came out, we see Franklin.
Yep.
So we see the baby, and that's cute. And I just wonder how much of the family aspect are we going to lean into, you know? And I wonder how artistic this movie's going to be. You know, like, will kids be bored with Fantastic Four?
That's what worries me about those test screens, which it turns out those were true, is they said it doesn't focus on the family dynamic as much. And I'm like, I hope that's not. Maybe it's just one jaded guy who just hates all Marvel movies. But trailers did show that, so I'm going to listen to the trailers instead of random grouchy guy who saw the movie early with unfinished VFX. Like,
that's valid. But yeah, when it comes to like how these end up, families love dinosaurs and Jurassic.
They do. What little boy doesn't love dinosaurs? I mean,
yeah, it's a canon event for all boys, if we're being honest.
Exactly. I mean, yes, it's PG-13, but like, I watched the original Jurassic Park quite young because my dad owned it on like VHS, and I was just like, I think like 3 or 4, and I'm like, I want to watch that. I like dinosaurs. My parents let me, and they were strict about what I could watch. So families are going to show up, I think, for all 3 of these movies.
Yeah.
And I think it could be beneficial because August isn't as crowded as you might think. All of the movies coming out in August, and even the week between Superman and Fantastic Four, that is, Mike, your beloved Smurfs. I'm just going to clown with you on that. And
it has Rihanna, so it still counts. Yes, my beloved Smurfs.
And that's I Know What You Did Last Summer, which, I mean, that is a horror reboot. I wonder how it will do, because we just saw Final Destination like shock everybody with its opening weekend, so that could be counter-programming. But August, all of these movies feel like good counter-programming. They can carry over. And we saw that happen. This just popped into my mind. Yeah. But back in 2012, I remember that was, the summer of the Avengers and everything. It was the big movies that came out earlier, like The Dark Knight Rises, like Amazing Spider-Man, or even like the R-rated comedies like Ted. Like, those were doing well still months later. And maybe that could happen again. I don't know. But, I mean, I think the month of August gives them a good opportunity to continue, because none of those movies are going to dominate like these 3 movies are. And people hopefully want to rewatch all of them. Yeah. I mean, preferably more Fantastic Four and Superman, because
I'm going to just be selfish for a second. We need Superman to win this out. Because Marvel will be okay. Jurassic will be okay. If Superman doesn't do well, DC's cooked. It is over. Warner Brothers as a studio might be cooked if Superman does poorly. So like, not to like back one of these movies, because I want all of them to do well. I'm going to see all of them probably multiple times. Superman needs to win out.
That's true. Okay, yeah, I would agree. But what if? And okay, no, I'm going to
go ahead, say it.
I'm going to meme. What if, in backwards logic, Superman bombs and they just move forward with Matt Reeves' Batman 2?
Oh, gosh.
Not Snyder. No, I'm not talking Snyder. I'm just being a Reeves cultist, I guess.
Release the Reeves cut.
But I'm rooting for Superman. I really want that movie to succeed. Especially, I mean, I love that character, but I really love James Gunn and what he's done with Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. So I just really need this, because the DCU sounds cool, and I want it to be good. I don't want Supergirl to be scrapped. I don't want David Zaslav to look at that probably by that time. The movie's already been filmed. I don't want him to backdraw it.
Yeah, they've got a year's worth of VFX to do for Supergirl. If you guys have read Woman of Tomorrow, it's a beautiful book. They're going to need every second from now until next year to finish the VFX on that film, though. But yeah, to wrap this up, All three of these movies are tracking extremely well. On the high end, they're all going to cross $135 million, according to Box Office Theory. And so it depends if they have legs, like they were saying. So if they have that rewatchability and people go back to them, all these movies are going to do fine. Huge win, possibly for Marvel with Fantastic Four, especially because Thunderbolts lost them like $100 million, which hurts my soul because they made a good movie for the first time in a couple years. And now we're right back into Robert Downey as Dr. Doom. So
it annoys me too that they took it. Apparently, they took it out of theaters. I don't know if that is true or not. I was reading a couple places, and I'm like, I still saw the poster for The Accountant 2 right outside my theater. That movie's on Amazon now.
Yeah,
streaming for free.
It's leaving. It was leaving a lot of theaters. I mean, like, it's still at mine, but now we're at the like 2 showings a day for a movie that like just came out like a month ago. Month and a half maybe now. That's not ideal, especially for a Marvel movie. Those used to stick around. Everything else would leave and Marvel movies would stay. So that's concerning, but hopefully Fantastic Four like cuts the difference a little bit.
Oh, it will. I think so.
Moving out of Disney, finally, almost 40 minutes into the show, we have to talk Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We've got a reboot. Nate, you're the horror guy. Talk to me.
So if you remember, I think it was back in 2022, there was a reboot on Netflix of Texas Chainsaw. It was produced by Fede Alvarez. That movie sucked. There's a scene, Mike, you'll love this. You will. Okay, you might have heard about this. There's a scene where Leatherface goes into a party bus and he gets canceled. Like on social media.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. I would have to research the scene because it just sounds ridiculous, but okay.
Yeah. But yeah, the movie was horrible. But at the same time, Netflix wanted to do another one. They didn't have the rights. They bought it because it was supposed to be in theaters. It was COVID era. So now there's a bidding war for a new Texas Chainsaw. It's obviously not going to follow up that recent one that was a legacy sequel. It tried to be lazy and be like the Jamie Lee Curtis Halloween or the terrible Exorcist legacy sequel. But now we're getting a bunch of different studios and creatives bidding on this, and each
got a bidding war.
Yeah, each studio already has talent lined up for if they land it. So the first one, which we learned about I think like a month ago, was that JT Molnar, who he directed Strange Darling, which was a super, super underrated movie that came out last year. It's excellent. Mike, it might be too freaky for you. It's not horror, but it's brutal. But
this is why I don't watch and I rely on your recommendations.
there was rumors that he was gonna write and direct a movie with Glen Powell possibly attached. We didn't know if he was going to star or not, and we didn't know if it was a movie or show. Turns out that would be a show if A24 lands it. A24's television department, I mean, they're kind of a big deal. I know people only focus on their movies, but they're the studio behind Euphoria as well, and Beef on Netflix. So, no, they are a pretty big deal. And they're doing the Friday the 13th show, which sounds horrible. But anyway, this would be Molnar basically show running a show with Glen Powell, probably serving as an EP. Powell wouldn't be in it, though. Then we have A24's probably biggest competitor, which is Neon, and they would do a movie.
Hot take, Neon is everything A24 bros think A24 is.
Yeah, it is. I would agree. I think A24 has gathered a Marvel-like cult following. It's kind of important. When I went to see the Phoenicians game, there was a dude who clapped at the A24 logo ahead of the Eddington trailer, and I'm like, you're such a nerd.
So pretentious, but I kind of love it, if we're being honest.
I was so annoyed. But Neon, they would do a movie, and it would be produced and co-written by Osgood Perkins, who did their big hit Longlegs, which I thought was a little bit overhyped, to be honest. I thought it was good, but that crept a bit at the ending. But he is Neon's Wunderkind when it comes to horror, so he wouldn't be directing it, and it would be Brian Bertino, who he directed the original Strangers movie, which is really underrated. So that shall be interesting. Paramount. This was juice.
Yeah, this is the one that stood out to me.
Yeah. I don't know if this would be a movie or show. This was the one that I don't think anybody expected. But it would be produced by Taylor Sheridan.
Yellowstone. Yeah, that seems a bit out of his wheelhouse, but I don't know. I kind of mess with it, maybe.
I mean, I would hope it's a movie as opposed to a show because, look, his shows have a big fan base. I like the ones I've seen, but they do feel more like TV. And I kind of because Sheridan, he started out, I mean, he was an actor, but his movies were like banger after banger. Like his original 3 scripts that he did, Sicario, Hell or High Water, which he earned an Oscar nomination for, and Wind River, which he also directed. All great, incredible movies. I like Sicario too as well. So it will be interesting to see if it's a movie or show. Was not expecting that, but he is a native Texan. And if you know anything about Texans, they love anything about Texas. They're very proud of their state. So I don't know. Universal.
This is the one to me that stands out. Is this the one that we're rooting for as a collective? Tell me.
Yeah, this is the one I'm rooting for. That, or actually, I would say Paramount as well, with Taylor Sheridan. But this is Jordan Peele would produce. He wouldn't write or direct it, but Jordan Peele would produce through his Monkey Paw Productions production company, which they've already kind of tackled a franchise reboot with Candyman, which I thought was fine.
Yeah.
But since then, I think Jordan Peele has done a great job with like producing the movies that Monkey Paw puts out. Him, the one with Marlon Wayans, the football horror movie, that movie looks great. So, and I think Texas Chainsaw, if Jordan Peele likes doing more insightful or like horror that's going to comment on things, I think Texas Chainsaw is obviously a very ripe franchise to do that with in a way that is not Leatherface being canceled.
That's you know what, you make a good point. If we're going to try to add commentary, let's get Jordan Peele on that and not just like, hey, canceled hashtag post on X.
Yeah.
God.
And then the last one is Netflix, which is just with Roy Lee, who produced Barbarian and It. He'd be producing a movie reboot that's unconnected to the one that came out in 2022. Still don't want Netflix doing it. I want to see this in the theater. So
that was my takeaway of it's like Netflix doing this. Does nobody wants this just to go straight to streaming and then disappear after like a week?
Yeah,
you know. So like, also Netflix's quality is up for debate with their films as well. So it's like, I feel that. Going off of the bidding war, I think it's interesting how they already have talent lined up for this. That's the thing that stands out to me. It's like we already have producers and writers like chomping at the bit to get their hands on this property. So that's exciting. Of the list, Universal, I think, and Jordan Peele's Monkey Paw is the one that I would like to see tackle it. But A24's Texas Chainsaw Massacre just sounds so funny that being the reality would be so interesting.
I would say yes, just because also JT Molnar, again, Strange Darling, incredible movie. I don't want a TV show either. That to me is just as bad, if not worse, than just a Netflix movie. Because I think slashers are made to be a movie. I don't think they really work as TV.
It's so weird as TV, you know? Like stretching that out over an 8-episode season is like, what's the point?
And I mean, there's also rumors that Halloween is also getting a TV show, and I'm like, I don't want that. Just give me a movie in the theaters that I can have a good time with. That's not Halloween Ends, but I'm definitely rooting for Universal or Paramount just to see how what a Taylor Sheridan Texas Chainsaw would be like. But I think Universal would be the best, especially because it is a movie and it is Jordan Peele producing, and I think he treats the movie every single movie he produces, he treats them very, very well, and he makes it known. Like anytime somebody claims this is the new Jordan Peele movie, he'll be like, no, it's this director, and he always picks good directors. Like, the Marvels, that wasn't Nia DaCosta's fault, because for all the problems her Candyman had, she was not one of them. Like, she directed the hell out of that movie, and it looks like the guy he got for the football movie, also looks like it's directed the hell out of. I don't know who's directing it. I think he's like a newcomer director, or just in like smaller movies. But
yeah, him looks really fun. And like you said, Jordan Peele, he's just got an eye for talent. And his last couple movies have been really, really dope. So that would be interesting.
Monkey Man.
Monkey
Man. Produce it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I still have not seen that, sadly. I need to get on that. I really do. That honestly might be the movie I watch this week, and we'll talk about it next week if I get through it.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I love me a good old-fashioned bidding war. The last one of note we had was Sinners, and that turned out great. So let's keep at it. We got a lot of trailers to talk about, and I'm scrambling here because Universal, I did a reaction to the Wicked for Good trailer. YouTube will not allow any footage of Wicked for Good, so I can't show that to you guys.
Okay.
So you guys are going to have to rely on Nate and I's like play-by-play as we talk these trailers. You get this picture though, so that's fun. That video is up on my Instagram and TikTok. If you guys want to see like my initial impressions on this one, but Nate, I need to hear from you. What are your thoughts seeing our first look at Wicked Part 2?
So, as you know, I was not excited for the first Wicked, then I ended up loving it. I liked the trailer. I only watched it once, though, because it's all I need to see. I'm already sold. It looked good. Looks really good. I completely, because I haven't seen the Broadway musical, and I really only knew Defying Gravity and Popular.
Yeah.
I didn't know
in the first act.
Yeah. I didn't know like the song, it's like, who could say I've been changed for the better? I didn't know that was Wicked, because I have heard that song. So I'm like, oh, okay, they do have a banger song. People saying none of the songs are good in the second act. No, that song's a banger. That's a good song.
For Good is like, it's the title of the movie. So like it's a banger song. So yeah, I mean, you can argue that all of the better songs are in the first act, but that's mostly any musical. Like the second half of most musicals are kind of like, you're already here. They already have you excited. And so we're seeing the story play out. They're adding 2 original songs to this movie, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
One for Elphaba and one for Glinda. So that's the part where it's like, okay, I want to see what they're cooking, because I'm pretty sure it's the same songwriter and composer that did the music. So that has me intrigued to see if that kind of helps flesh it out a bit more, because this movie is still going to be like 2.5 hours long. I don't think they had enough songs to make that work. So one thing I did enjoy about this trailer is it's a teaser, so it's just like getting us back into the world of the land of Oz.
It's nearly 3 minutes, Mike. It is not a teaser.
Well, when I say teaser, is the definition of teaser has changed, where it's not runtime, it's just what they're showing. And they didn't show us a lot, if we're being completely honest. Like, we still don't know what the story is, really. I mean, even if you know Wicked, you know. But from what they've shown, they don't really get into it. So I'm just going off of how John M. Chu's changed his direction style a little bit. It's a little more saturated. The colors pop a little bit more
Yep.
this time, which is going to make the watching these back to back really annoying because, like, oh, we turned the color on in the second one.
Yeah.
But I do like that. The vocals, of course, Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande absolutely crush those when they start singing. And I don't know, like, I really just dig visually how it pops and how we do have that time jump. And so all these characters are more extravagant, more elaborate because they're in a different part of their life. We have this giant crown going on Ariana Grande. We have the massive cape on Cynthia Erivo. We have Jonathan Bailey just like decked out in like all gold. It looks so visually interesting, which is something I can't say about the last movie. As much as I did love it, we that's the one criticism we all had, and it feels like they did address that this time around. So that's great.
I mean, they filmed them back to back though, so I don't know. Maybe some of it is like just post-production work.
Yeah, I think it really is just post-production.
It's amazing what all that can do. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm sure it's going to make a ton of money once again. I'm curious if it's going to replicate the success of the first one, or if it's going to make. I think it's going to make a lot of money. Yeah. I still don't think if the first one didn't make $1 billion, do you think this could?
I don't remember what's coming out in the fall.
Zootopia 2.
Oh, this is yikes, because those are still two musicals, so like they kind of have a similar demographic.
Christmas is Avatar 3.
Yeah, it's not making $1 billion. It would need legs, but it's going to run into Avatar. Yeah. So no, I don't think it'll make $1 billion. I think it'll probably make close to or equal of the first one. Like, I don't think it's going to be a significant dip.
No,
but I don't think it'll make $1 billion.
Yeah, I'm curious if it replicates the Oscar success as well. Like if it gets a bunch of nominations once again.
What type of noms do you think it would be up for?
I think some of the same ones it was nominated for before. It's just it's looking more and more like a really stacked year because we also.
I mean, they can get an original song nomination now, so there's that.
They can. That would probably be the one they would win for. I think Erivo and Grande could be nominated again. I think there's a good shot it gets nominated for picture, but the Oscars are also weird with how many sequels they nominate. They have nominated 2 before. So it would probably be that and Avatar, but they don't like nominating too many blockbusters. So what does that mean for Sinners? And I mean, if Sinners doesn't get nominated for Best Picture, I'm not watching.
Does Sinners count as a blockbuster? I mean, it's a Warner Brothers film, and it did really well, but
it made money, Mike. People liked it, and they want to nominate a movie no one's seen. I love the Oscars, but it does annoy me sometimes. Sorry.
That's valid. That's a valid crash out. But because like Sinners is an original movie that costs like less than $100 million. Just because it did extremely well, I don't know if I'd classify it as a blockbuster, but that's a valid take.
Cost over nearly $100 million as well, so that is a blockbuster budget. So it's going to get nominated, and I think it's going to be a top tier contender to win. But that's me going on a tangent.
No, man, it's fine. But yeah, Wicked looks really fun. I'm excited because we're recording this the day of the Tony Awards, so I want to see if they have anything special for that that we get to talk about later. But yeah, the next trailer that we have, again, Disney being annoying, we can't show it for you guys. Freakier Friday, trailer number 2. I just watched this like right before we started recording this episode.
Yeah.
Really fun. I like this trailer more than the last one, more than the first one. Just getting like into the meat of what makes this film different and how they're giving us a new spin on the Freaky Friday formula. I'm here for it. This movie looks like a ton of fun.
Yeah. I mean, I love that first movie so much. It still holds up. I think it just looks fun. Looks like a good time. It's not going to be like a Wicked for good and win Oscars, but the thing I liked about this trailer was, this trailer, like the first, is still set to Chappell Roan. They also mix in the song from the first movie that Lindsay Lohan plays at the end.
Yeah,
Take Me Away, which great song, also still a banger. And I like that touch. And I'm glad they addressed the stepsister in it, that she already had the accent. Because we didn't see her in that first trailer. It looked like she was like doing an accent just because she was actually Jamie Lee Curtis. And I'm like, that's not the Jamie Lee Curtis voice. I'm glad it's already established she is British.
Yeah.
Because I did see that first trailer and I'm like, that is not, no. I don't know why I cared about that, but I just did. But
that's valid.
it looks fun. This is another August movie that I think could be a sleeper hit. People love that original. This was originally, I think, meant to be a Disney Plus movie, just like Lilo and Stitch was. It's not going to be a Lilo and Stitch level hit, obviously not.
No.
But I think it could be a decent sized hit. And we don't really get movies like made at this budget in theaters anymore, especially from Disney. I mean, Hocus Pocus 2 and the Disenchanted, both of those went straight to Disney Plus. Say what you will about the quality of those movies. I didn't think they were particularly great, but those were direct to streaming, and this they're actually taking to theaters. And I hope that means they're confident in it. So
we need the return of the smaller budget movie in theaters. That's really part of it. A story that we did,
but
that's something that we didn't talk about. We have a One of Them Days sequel announced, right? That's coming out, and it's just like, we need smaller comedies to go back to theaters again, just to give that variety. Because you're right, in August, it's going to be that counter programming that theaters are going to need, because once you watch Fantastic Four and Superman and Jurassic, we had our fill of blockbusters at that point. We had our fill of comic book movies at that point. So it's like, hey, let's go on a random Tuesday or whatever, right, and go check out Freakier Friday and have a fun laugh and have a good time there. We just need that like diverse level of storytelling back in theaters and not just rely on the tentpoles. So like, I'm with you. I'm glad especially Disney is like, hey, we're gonna give this a theatrical release because there is an audience for it. I don't know how big the budget is for this movie, so hopefully it doesn't need to make like $200 million.
I would be shocked if it's anything over 50 million. I would probably think it's like 40.
Yeah. 30. And I feel like this movie has a chance to make a good 80, So like it'll be fine. And we just need to put more movies in theaters like that. But speaking of movies in theaters, we need to talk about Alien Earth, because this was so interesting.
This is a TV show.
I know. That's my point. It's like we bring Alien to TV. Again, can't show you the footage. FX is being annoying. But this looks really good. I was surprised. Again, I'm not a huge like horror guy, but I do like the Alien franchise. This looks really fun, man.
Looks great. I think Romulus was really, really good. I don't think it was like great, but like I think it's wild. I hate even saying this, but it is true. I love how Disney's handling both the Alien and the Predator franchises. Like they're both thriving right now, and I feel like excitement for it again. I know Ridley Scott went off on a tangent about how none of the Alien movies are good anymore. I remember he had said before Romulus, he was like, oh, actually, no, this one's good. And then he just walked it back recently. He was like, no, they paid me. Which, get that bag, King. I get it. That it's your baby, but like, I like the movie. And this show looks great. I am excited. It's Noah Hawley, who did Fargo and Legion, so he does great TV. There was that creepy eye monster thing in that trailer that makes me like shiver.
Yeah,
like that thing was, I don't know what it was. Do I want to know? I don't know. It looks really, really scary. But that's what I like about it. It looks so cool. This movie was also announced back in this show was announced back in 2020. Like that's how they opened that panel.
Yeah.
They announced this and Shogun like back to back. This has been in the works for so long, and I'm so glad it's actually happening and it's nearly here. I don't want to wait till August. Give me it now.
Yeah, I echo a lot of what you're saying. I think this series specifically, the thriller horror like monster genre can thrive on TV because you have that slower burn of we can spend an episode with these characters, right? And you can
Mhm.
kind of lead into once you lose someone to the monster in episode 3, that makes it feel that much more real. And that kind of like
Mhm.
slow burn in the storytelling is something you can't do necessarily in a 2-hour movie. Don't get me wrong, the Alien movies have always done a great job at that anyway, regardless. But now it's like, hey, we spend 2 episodes with this crew, and then crap goes down in episode 3 or
Yeah.
4, and all hell breaks loose in 5 and 6. Then it's like a much more like satisfying payoff just because of how TV works. So that twist on the Alien formula gets me really excited for it, and I can't wait to check it out.
I will correct myself because I was ranting. I'm like, slashers don't work on TV. Alien is not a slasher. There's so much world building in this that makes it so different from being a slasher. Also, this has Timothy Olyphant, who I love very much, and I'm excited because he looks really good in this show. And he has white hair.
Oh yeah, we love Timothy Olyphant. So
We
like
do.
that's an instant sell.
Hell yeah.
I'm changing the order of things slightly because I want to talk about the Black Phone 2.
Oh yeah.
This is all you, buddy. You know I'm not a horror guy. So give us your thoughts on this one.
Did you even watch the trailer?
Yeah, I watched the trailer, but I also didn't watch the first one.
Okay.
So there's that.
I was shocked how much it looks like Mason Thames, Finney, has grown up since the first. And it's not been that long. But like
this is a grown man now.
He even seems older than he was. I saw How to Train Your Dragon earlier this week. Most of the things are still embargoed. I thought the movie was good. I can say that much. He was great in it. But he's even like grown up since then. I think because they filmed this movie like this past winter. And there is a very wintry feel about this. And it looks like Ethan Hawke's the grabber, who he died at the end of the first one. He's becoming more of like a Freddy Krueger like villain. Yeah. And I think that's sick. That is the way to take the franchise instead of just doing the same thing. Like the grabber is somehow still alive, or it's a prequel and he abducts another kid. And it's like the kid you didn't know about who broke free. Finney wasn't actually the first. Like it could have been that, and it could have been lazy, and it's not. I like what Scott Derrickson's doing. I really trust him with it. I don't think Black Phone really lended itself to a sequel because, like you said, spoiler alert to a movie that came out 3-4 years ago, the grabber dies. But this looks really good, and it looks really promising. And I also know our buddy Robert Taylor is so excited for this movie because he, like me, is a Black Phone truther. I know it's kind of split amongst like the horror fan base because I know a couple of people who really didn't care for it, but I know both Robert and I really loved it, and I think that's what matters.
Yeah, I mean, if it's going in a fun new direction, that's exciting. Again, like I'm not going to watch it, but I'm glad it's giving you something interesting to chew on and not be just like a lazy cash grab sequel.
Yeah.
Scott Derrickson's he's a great mind, so like I'm glad he was able to find an in on the Black Phone 2.
I will say about Scott Derrickson, sorry to interrupt, but
I was done, so you're good.
His recent Apple movie, The Gorge, it wasn't great by any means, but for Apple's streak of like blockbusters, we saw it with Fountain of Youth, which was fine, but it wasn't really good at all. I thought I liked it a little. I seem to like it a little more than a lot of other people did. It wasn't a very good movie. Scott Derrickson actually was able to make The Gorge pretty decent. I don't think it was bad at all. Had a lot of flaws, but like the fact that he was able to do that with an Apple movie just shows how good of a director he is. So
for sure. No, man, you're fine. A big, bold, beautiful journey is the last trailer for us to talk about.
My wife,
Margot Robbie.
My wife.
Nate, this episode was made for you. We talked Gosling at the top of the show. We're ending with Margot Robbie at the end of the show. Hopefully this episode was enough for all the people who are listening. She's here with the Penguin. We have Harley and the Penguin in this movie. I have mixed emotions about this trailer because like on first viewing, I'm like, I think I'm in. On second viewing, I'm like, I think I'm out. And I don't know. We were talking before we went live, like this could be like a pretentious, like Oscar baity, like type of film, but also it might just be legitimately entertaining. talk to us though about a big, bold, beautiful journey.
It is. It's from Kogonada, who did Columbus, which is one of the few movies that's a huge hit. That was filmed here in Indiana, filmed in Columbus, Indiana. A place that has great architecture, and it's a really good movie. And he did After Yang, which I still actually haven't seen that one. I've heard it's great. So he is a strong director. Margot Robbie and Colin Farrell. Margot has not done a movie since Barbie. They're both coming off two of the biggest hits of their career. Margot with Barbie, obviously. Colin Farrell is going to win an Emmy pretty soon for The Penguin. So they're coming off huge hot streaks. I don't know how to feel about this movie. Part of me, like you, I was like, okay, I think this looks good. And then the more I look at it, I'm like, is this the Goldfinch 2.0? Is this Life Itself 2.0? Is this Dear Evan Hansen 2.0?
Oh no, let's not go that far, please.
I just don't know. That movie, besides Ben Platt, that movie had a talented cast, and you know it.
Yeah, it did. And Ben Platt is talented. He's just 20 years too old to play.
Yeah. Oh, he is talented. But like, and he's based. He made some cool recent comments after his family went stupid. Anyway, that's beside the point. I don't know how to feel about this movie. I know some people were like, "Oh, Kogonada cannot miss," and I get that, but I feel like this is either going to be like great or it's going to be a disaster. I see zero in between because I could see this premiering at TIFF. This is destined to premiere at TIFF, which is also where Life Itself and The Goldfinch premiered. Do you know when this movie comes out?
I don't. When?
Mid-September. Do you know when The Goldfinch and Life Itself came out?
I'm going to assume mid-September.
Yep.
Oh Lord.
So I feel like as much as I love Margot Robbie and Colin Farrell, and this movie they showed a little snippet of Phoebe Waller-Bridge. She's also on it. Kevin Kline is in it as well. Incredible actor who is very picky with the movies he's in. He sometimes is susceptible to a good payday because he was in Beauty and the Beast live action remake. Which, Mike, I know you're a huge fan of Emma Watson singing in that movie.
Yeah, I love your sense of sarcasm here, man. It's been great.
But huge cast. Jodie Turner-Smith is also on it. Lily Rabe. Like, this movie has a stacked cast. I don't know. It looks visually cool, I think. I don't know. It looks kind of cheesy, too. Like, it looks like a movie that is made not for nobody to show up in the theater, and then your mom watches it when she finds it on like Netflix.
Yeah, it's got that weird like vibe where it's exactly what you're saying, right? It's this. It feels like a theatrical release. It's got these two huge stars, and then it also feels like a Lifetime movie at the same time. And it's like, how did you achieve that vibe? And I think that's why I'm at a crossroads, because like that's so interesting. And it could work for me, but it also could just be the worst thing ever.
Well, and I feel like we've talked about this before with our moms and our sisters' viewing habits. Sometimes they'll find things on Netflix after a bomb in theaters, and they're like, that was a great movie. And then you tell them it sucked, and they're like, they were wrong. How could you hate that? This feels like one of those movies.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how this one plays out when it actually comes out. In that dreaded September release spot, but we'll find out. But speaking of things to watch, we're wrapping the show up, guys. This is what's out this week for you to check out. The Ballerina. We're going to be reviewing that on the Chatter After later this week, so stay tuned for that. I haven't seen it yet. You haven't seen it yet.
Nope.
Our friend Robert said it was really fun. So that's cool.
Yeah. He was skeptical like we were too for it. So the fact that he says it's good, and he hated Mission Impossible. So
yeah, you guys heard that. That was Mission Impossible was a special episode. Go check that out.
Makes me think this movie's actually good because I really trust Robert's opinions on things. Yeah, we occasionally disagree, on like Mission Impossible and The Beekeeper, but he always makes good points that I can't help but agree with. So if he likes it, it means it's probably pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how he says this is still the worst John Wick franchise movie.
Anonymous. Everyone's saying that.
And that's, I mean, because all the John Wick movies are fantastic. So like, it's like we were saying with Mission Impossible when we ranked them. Go check out that video. On the John Wick curve, that doesn't mean you're bad though. Like if you're the worst John Wick, you are probably still like a 3-star, 3.5-star movie, and that is totally okay. I'm just glad to hear that Ana de Armas is like an action star, and that is so great to hear, because I was skeptical. It's always skeptical when you haven't seen somebody like be a super action heavy like actor performer.
And going into
yeah, that was like a glimpse into that. You know, John Wick's a different level. That's all. Like the level
Gray Man,
of violence.
Mike.
Yeah, you know what, Nate? You have left me stunned 3 times this episode. Well, I can't refute that. The Great Man is the greatest movie of all time. You are so right there. Yeah. I'm just glad we got a Keanu Reeves and Ana de Armas reunion this week. That's fun.
Yeah. The last movie they did together wasn't very good, so it's good for them to be redeemed for the first movie.
It was awful. Let's not mince words here. It was awful. Next movie on the list, though. I think you saw this one.
What one is that? Phoenician Scheme. Yes, yeah. I did. I'm a big Wes Anderson fan. I've liked every single one of his movies. Like I have him at an 8 out of 10 or higher. I also like this movie. I also think it's kind of his weakest movie. I saw it on Thursday, and I feel like I'm still like permeating on it.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. It's really good. I will say this is led by Benicio del Toro and Mia Thrippleton. I don't know. I'm probably flubbing on her name. She's Kate Winslet's daughter, and she's really good. And it's Michael Cera, who has never worked with Wes Anderson before now, which is insane. Those three are great, especially Benicio del Toro. This is like his best role since the first Sicario. Like, he is remarkable in this movie. And it is interesting to see a Wes Anderson movie. His last several, really, have been pure ensemble movies. And this movie also has a massive ensemble, but it is also squarely Benicio del Toro's movie. Like, Asteroid City, I loved it. And yes, Jason Schwartzman and Scarlett Johansson, they were the characters at the center of the story. There was a lot more going on in that movie, because it was, once again, a story within a story within a story within a story, much like Grand Budapest was. But this is the first time since Grand Budapest where we see him focusing on one relationship at the center of it and putting in a cast. I think that really works. But there's something I think missing about it that made me not fall in love with it as much as I have with some of his other movies. And I don't know what it was. It was just missing something. It's good. It's definitely good. I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10. Is what I think my score is leaning on, which would put it last in my Wes Anderson rankings, which makes it sound bad, but it's not.
Again, on the Wes Anderson curve, it's the worst one, but 7 out of 10 is still a really good movie.
Yeah.
So, like, I understand. I feel that. Predator, Killer of Killers. Haven't seen this one yet myself. I've heard nothing but good things about this, though.
Yep. Garrett, our friend Garrett, was texting me yesterday, and I almost watched it yesterday, but I ran out of time because I had plans that night. Hoping to watch it today. Heard it's great. Excited to watch it. I am a massive fan of this franchise. So, Dan, again, Disney, I don't know what it is. Who is like cooking? Which executive is cooking and letting Fede Alvarez and Dan Trachtenberg cook with Alien and Predator? But keep it up, man. You're doing, or ma'am, you're doing a incredible job. Very glad. Very glad.
I'm just glad that they're taking risk. I think that's what makes Predator and this next Alien project, right, work so well is that they're able to do something completely different. Like Kill of Killers is something I never expected from a Predator franchise, right? And so it looks so visually interesting. I'm glad the story seems to be great. So yeah, whatever they're doing over there, keep leaning on the side of creative freedom and let them try something different every time, and that's ton of fun.
I will say, sorry to interrupt,
You're
but
fine.
because I would lament, because Prey is a movie that should have been in theaters. It won like an Emmy for Best Television Movie. That's not a TV movie. Or it was nominated for Best Television Movie. That is not a TV movie, and it's weird to call it that.
Yeah.
That should have been in theaters. While I would have loved to see this movie be in theaters, I get why it's on Hulu. I feel like it's a movie that couldn't exist without the streaming era, because this movie's definitely made for people like us. Or people who, anybody who's listening to this right now, this movie was made for you.
Yeah, like you can't market this as a kids movie, you know, and adults aren't gonna go and get this to cross 100 milli in the theater, you know.
So I guess that's one of the only benefits of the streaming era, is we can get cool banger movies like this. And yeah, I'm pumped. It's such a cool concept of having the Predator skip across time. That's what we initially thought the Badlands was going to be when they first announced it. It's like, oh, he's going to be another era of time.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's not really what it is. I can't really comment much on Badlands for reasons. But we've already seen the trailer. It takes place in the future. This, I love that's going the historical route. I love that there's Vikings and there's samurai. Like, and the animation looks incredible. It looks like Arcane, which, Mike, I know you're not the biggest fan of that show. I love that show, and the animation is like incredible. And the animation in this looks like.
I'm just glad we've reached a point where we can do something visually interesting with animation.
Yeah.
Arcane, Spider-Verse, Mitchell vs. the Machines, Mutant Mayhem. Like, I'm glad we're able to have fun with animation, and not everything has to be in the Disney Pixar style. It now makes Disney and Pixar feel fresh and unique again, because nobody's copying them anymore. Everybody's kind of like doing their own thing over here. And yeah, this it looks phenomenal. Like, I love Arcane's art style. It's just the story I really couldn't get into. I know, controversial, but yeah, this looks like a ton of fun. Last thing on the list, though, is Dangerous Animals. Our boy Jai Courtney.
Yeah, I did see this too. Watched it. They sent me a screener. I reviewed it. You can read it on collider.com. This movie has gotten really great reviews. I thought it was good. I don't think it's great. I think the reason to watch it is Jai Courtney. And he is just, he's never been better. And I love that he's fully entering and embracing his character actor era. Because anytime he plays characters like these, he is like incredible at it. I mean, we're not seeing him in like Terminator Genesis or Divergent anymore, or A Good Day to Die Hard, which we're not doing him any favors. We started seeing he was a good actor in the terrible Suicide Squad movie, and he was like one of the best parts of it, which is insane. He was in the Chris Pratt show, The Terminal List, for like an episode or two. He was like incredible in that too. He was just like a businessman snorting coke and being evil. And I'm like, this guy can act. He is so good at being like a character actor type. And he is a blast to watch in this. And then I'm going to look up 1 second the main actress's name, because I've not seen her in anything before. Hassie Harrison, who I guess she was in Yellowstone, a couple episodes of it. And she is, I think, a star in the making. She's really, really good in this movie, and she's a great final girl. She also has a sex appeal for a movie you would want about a surfer and sharks and serial killers. So, trying to say that without sounding creepy. I think I told you that. But yeah, it's fun. I don't think it's worth driving out to the theater to go see, but it's going to be on Shudder in a few months, and I think it's the perfect kind of movie for Shudder. I don't think it's great as some of their recent movies like Late Night with the Devil or In a Violent Nature, which were like exceptional. But this is decent. This is fun.
I am always here for fun. That's what we watch movies for. So if it's fun, catch it on
That's right.
streaming. That is great. But yeah, that wraps up this week, guys. This has been another fun episode. Let us know if we missed anything. Let us know if we were wrong about anything. Give us your opinions down below. Nate, where can the folks find you?
You can find me across all social media at Nate Knows Movies, or you can find me at Letterboxd at Nate Richard. I'm a patron on that site already, so you can just look up my name, or you can find me on Instagram at NateRichard98.
Nice. You guys can find me here and at Novice Cinephile pretty much everywhere except for Instagram. It's the Novice Cinephile. This week on the Chatter After, we're talking Ballerina, and we've got a Superman video in the works that we're working on. So that's going to be a ton of fun, and another episode of Insider Chatter next week. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, so you don't miss a diggity dang thing here on the channel. And remember, keep watching movies.
Bye.